Ruslan.
I want to tie this in because this is a age-old debate, and you are someone that's unapologetically Christian. I mean, to the point where like Mike Winger knew you were a Christian, which I thought was rad, right? So shout out to Mike Winger, Pastor Mike Winger. And you know, Jesus is the reason. Anyone who's been to your live events, I think is fairly clear. And I think people who know. However, Think Media, the way you guys have built it, you didn't lead with your faith, right? And so the question some people raise is like, well, how does someone not lead with their faith, however, is a Christian? And this is the same age-old debate we've had in Christian hip-hop. I'm sure you're loosely familiar with the community. Is like rapper that's Christian or Christian rapper, right? And so you would be more on the spectrum of a YouTuber who's a Christian, right? But because you lead with value. But I think as people peel away that onion, they figure out, whoa, this dude is on fire for Jesus. And I think, this is my theory, and you could push back or you could disagree or agree. I think it positions you to have more influence because your channel has just added so much value to millions and millions and millions of people that when they actually get deeper and like, who is Sean? Who's Benji? Who are these guys? And you're like, whoa, they got this radical faith thing actually driving them. So can we just kind of unpack that? Because I think it doesn't quite, especially for the younger people who don't quite get it. Like it's all like, I just gotta yell Jesus from the mountaintops. And you started in the local church, but how you've built your business is very strategic and I think very helpful to this next generation of people who are like not sure, like I don't know if I could do preaching like Ruslan and Mike Winger, or maybe I can do what Sean is doing, right? Just talk about that, because I don't think it's either or, by the way. I think it's and both in the timing. But yeah, just talk about that, because I think that's something very unique about your whole purpose in your business and your mission and your ministry.
Yeah, man, it's a great conversation, and I think that it kind of reminds me of Paul in Corinthians, where he actually talks about not judging another man's work. And I think that it's about self-awareness. I think it's about pushing in to understand what God has called you to do specifically, and to not worry too much about what others are doing. So what I mean is the calling of a local church is very clear. I mean, the fivefold ministry is there to equip the saints for works of service. Yep. The saints, those planted in a local church, are then living out the gospel and the Bible and the Great Commission in their local jobs, in their local work environments. But you see throughout the Bible, you see different people used in different ways. You see Joseph of Arimathea so powerfully used in the life of Jesus by donating his tomb. Who was a wealthy man and donated this tomb. You see different people. You don't hear a lot about the women who funded Jesus's ministry, but clearly they were entrepreneurs and they were funding the ministry. You see Paul in Romans breaking down the different spiritual giftings and talking about some it's prophesying or preaching or encouraging or hospitality or leadership or business. Yeah. And so at the same time, a Christian should be a Christian wherever they are.
Yes.
And it reminds me of that famous quote that's like, wherever you go, preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. An evangelist has to use words. That is necessary.
Yep.
They have to be used because that's that call. It's the proclamation, and the local church, I believe, is the hope of the world. It is the vehicle that Jesus uses, that we would be salt and light in the world, but getting people and calling people to Jesus, but also seeing people get planted in a local church for discipleship and for community. So it's a lot about self-awareness. I think it's a lot about having a vision, a God-birthed vision. And as Paul said in that book of Corinthians, he said some plant, some water, but it's God who makes it grow. So I think we could use a lot more unity in the church and less judgment of another man or woman's work.
Yeah.
Because some plant, some water, it's God who makes it grow. If we actually remember we're on the same team, whether you're Pentecostal or Reformed, no matter what your non-essential viewpoints are, we are on the same team. And one of the most heartbreaking aspects of Christianity, I remember my grandfather, who passed away now, there was a lot of reasons where he kind of was on the rock of offense of Jesus, but one of them was I remember we were talking about faith and I was, sharing my faith with him. And he said, well, why are there so many denominations? Why is there so much division in the church? And I actually don't think denominations have to be seen as something divisive. If we could only realize that, my God, why are we so judgmental and infighting and all of that, as opposed to realizing some plant, some water, it's God who makes it grow. And whether you're in music or you're in art or how effective is some types of street evangelism? I don't know. Like, I think that there's probably extremes in picketing, but on the flip side, God had prophets naked, cooking their poop and like prophesying. So it's like I don't know. Like, that's what it ultimately comes down to. We need to represent Jesus.
Yes.
But it's, if God's called you to do it, and I hope that you have voices in your life and pastors in your life that are helping you process your prophetic calling. If you feel called to lie naked in the street, that's probably, I don't know if that's New Testament, but that's some of the things. So self-awareness, God awareness of the vision God has called you to. And so for me, I think that I just got I felt God calling me to YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I had a wake up moment when around 2009, 2010, it's super early on YouTube. And I was, I'm an intern in a church, or now I'm part-time staff, and I'm helping lead this youth ministry and doing video at my church. Super passionate about seeing just people know about the love of Jesus. And I noticed different people on YouTube, including Benji and Judy has a vlog channel. And then at the time I was looking at somebody like Rick Warren, who wrote Purpose Driven Life, right? And Saddleback Church. And I don't know, like making up numbers, but let's say it was like he'd have 30,000 on a Sunday, listening to him preach or something like that. And I remember it's like 2009, YouTube's kind of happening. I'm wrestling with it like God, and I'm serving in a local church, but I'm wondering, I feel this call and I'm trying to work it all out, praying through it. And I'm, with Jeff, it was really my, if you will, he not only was my pastor, but a mentor, a leader, and one of the people I'd process things with. And I was like, okay, so Rick Warren, fill in the blank pastor, mega church, doesn't matter the size, but can reach 30,000 people for maybe 1 hour, probably 30-minute sermon per week. And if they don't plug into anything else in a 7-day time period, they're getting about 30 minutes of teaching and the word and discipleship. But then I looked at my friend Judy at the time, who had a daily vlog, and it was at the time 7 days a week, and it was 10, 20, 30 minutes a day. It was these like long vlogs, and people were watching it, hundreds of thousands of people. At the peak, it was something like 100, 200,000 people. And I was like, my gosh, YouTube is a mission field. Not only that, it's actually a discipleship tool. Because what is discipleship? It's actually teaching somebody how to live.
Yeah.
It's not just a creed. We need the creed. It's not just words, it's lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I started to even think from a vlogger perspective, well, you're actually showing people how to parent their kids, when you really document your life, you're showing people how you react under pressure. I mean, it's kind of up to you to film what you want to film, but that is actually an opportunity to really model a particular lifestyle. And then I started to realize that so many people on YouTube were discipling nations, not necessarily with a biblical worldview. And some of the most influential people, in fact, the exact opposite, had people hanging on their every word, learning about how to think about sex, dating, relationships, money, selfishness versus service, leadership, values, worldview was being transferred through YouTube. So I realized, man, it was not only a mission field, but it was a tool just like money or social media or YouTube, not good or bad, just a vehicle, a medium. It's how you use it. And I just felt this pull like, man, I know I'm supposed to do like something in that arena. And that was sort of the seeds of what led to what we're doing today. And so then saying that, to try to land the plane on the long conversation is like, is that I think both are needed, meaning overt ministry, kind of what you're doing, Mike Winger, what he's doing, where this is a tool to teach the Bible, to like Trey Van Camp's doing. He's got his Tuesday morning prayer. I love when he's doing that. Like, this is a time to use it for what the church, it's an extension of the church. Prayer, discipleship, ministry, the word, community, not trying to debate the, whether like if that can happen online, but but if it has to during a pandemic, it's an awesome tool to have. And so it can be used for those things. But on the flip side, I'm passionate for both. We need more believers that are at the top of their field and striving to be at the top of their field, that are just DIY clothing stitching people, artists, music, camera reviewers that can over time be some plant, some water. It's God who makes it grow. And that just feel that call to be in a space and to be salt and light and to be a city on a hill. And so I felt that while every aspect probably of Christendom, we all need work by God's grace, of course, like we're imperfect people. But I felt that I was like, there's a lot of people in the church, like everyone in the church wants their own mic. Everybody in the church wants their own. I saw you on somebody on Instagram where he's like, if you don't get invited to the table, build your own table. You remember that? I saw your comment. I was like, that's right, build your own table. Like, so everyone kind of like all my peers, like they only wanted to preach. They only wanted to, but in the church, it was like, give me the mic, let me preach. And I was like, man, there's this whole place out here. Like go build something for Christ, like go build something of influence and then proclaim that family is the most important thing. And that faith is my foundation and that I want to treat my team right. And that I'm not a perfect leader, but that we are not just about, nothing against Ferraris or anything, but we're not just about opulence, but we're about the kingdom. We're absolutely about building wealth, but it's prosperity for a purpose because that's biblical and to stand for biblical values and and I am bold about my faith, but I don't feel the need to name it, Think Media, Jesus Fish, or like, whatever, like the Fire and the Wind camerareviews.com or something. Because sometimes we feel like we just have to plaster some things that can even be cheesy. And mad respect to like local painting companies that are named like, by his stripes, we paint houses. But like, ultimately, for me, it's about, I think we just need more people in culture. And it's been very intentional and ever for the last 15 years and being discipled and thinking about things. And I hope to raise up and see more people and inspire more people to take territory on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and to be bold. And sometimes I think that a religious mindset and that even our inside the church worldview holds us back from that in some way.
When you talk about all of that, what I think is YouTube being a tool, money being a tool, influence being a tool, all these things being tools, impacting people in culture. And ultimately, we're talking about revival in a way, are we not? We're talking about the gospel going forward in different ways. We're talking about resource. We're talking about impacting people. And a lot of this does equate to value. That's kind of what I'm gathering from you, right? Whether you're being overt or covert about your faith, it's about value and it's about helping people. And so I think because you guys have added so much value in a strategic way where you didn't make your faith as an entry point, somebody had to agree with you theologically to receive value from you. No, you just gave value, right? You just helped people, and therefore you've been able to reach a lot of people. And then, and as people are getting to know you more and more, they find out about your faith. So I think that's incredible. And then that's also positioned you to do a lot of really rad stuff behind the scenes that you're not necessarily singing, and telling everybody about, but the resource to help local churches and to do all that kind of stuff. I think this is the part where people, especially young people who get really zealous, they miss the tangible, practical side of, hey, if you are phenomenal at something and you go and you build a product that's just incredible, top to bottom, right? And you make something valuable and you make yourself helpful in the marketplace, you will make a profit, and that profit can go to further the gospel and help people, even more people. And I think sometimes we don't understand that, and a lot of Christians take on this persecution complex, and the world's out to get me, and if I'm a Christian, then everybody has to hate me. And what I love about what you've done, Sean, is you've proven that false. Like you've literally just went out and said, this is who I am. I'm going to help people. I'm not going to deny Jesus, but I'm going to help people. And because I help people, you have a very diverse audience, right? And I remember being at your conference, man, and hearing the gospel proclaimed, seeing people invited to church, and I'm sitting there like this dude's next to me, and he's like in some sketchy, like, you know, R-rated pornographic soft porn type stuff, who's on steroids, and he's like, yeah, so Sean's a Christian, huh? And I'm like, yep, let's talk about Jesus. And I thought that was so rad to see the diverse of influence you have, man. So that's incredible. And again, I want people to hear Sean on this, that it doesn't have to be one way or another. It's not a either or, it could be and both when something is built out properly. Hey, thank you so much for making it through the end of this video. If you enjoyed it and maybe you're feeling inspired to jump into some YouTube creator content, maybe you're an expert in the field, I have a super dope course coming very soon. No, it's not a $5,000 or $1,000 mastermind course. It's gonna be extremely affordable. So that's on the way, but we wanna give you guys a free training and PDF that's available right now. So be sure to opt into that in the description below or in the cards. Joshua the King came down and bore it all. Yeah. Conversations front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate. On a first name basis with the worst plain face.